I'm Philip Wilding. This is the ProgShow. Now, earlier in the week, the lovely Chris Squire from Yes came into the studio to talk about the band's new album called Heaven and Earth. That comes out mid-July on the Frontiers label. Do check it out. It's a wonderful Yes album. But before we chat to Chris, let's just remind ourselves what he and Yes do best. And welcome back to the show. This is the ProgShow. I'm Philip Wilding, and I'm delighted. It's not often I'm delighted by anything or anyone, but Chris Squire's popped into the studio. Come on, that is exciting. Hello, Mr. Squire, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and good afternoon.
God bless you, sir. Now, let's start by talking about something you did last year, or actually this year as well, actually. You took out the Yes album, Close to the Edge, and Going for the One. Mr. House said you like to challenge yourself, and they are challenging albums. Was it weird going back and playing them again? I mean, obviously there's songs from those albums you still play and always will play. But as a whole piece of all three albums, was that difficult? Was it fun? Was it like, oh my God, whose idea was this?
A bit of both. It worked out fine, actually. At the end of the day, we ended up playing the music in the order of Close to the Edge first, then Going for the One, then the Yes album.
Okay.
It made a better show because the Close to the Edge stuff, it has some kind of immediate impact. It was a good show opener. And then the Going for the One stuff, a little more eclectic, a little more mid-set kind of, some turn of the century is a very musical piece. But there's a couple of, Going for the One, the song itself, and Parallels, a couple of good rock songs on that album. And Wondrous Stories, of course, which is the well-known...
It's quite a hit, that, isn't it?
Hit.
Yeah. People like that, the hit.
They do. They like the hit. And then, of course, the Awaken song, which is more the longer form piece on there. So more the sort of like more of the muso section of the show. And then, of course, the Yes album has some lighter, more rocky stuff that made a good third sector. So it became very enjoyable to play. From the Yes album, we played a track we never played called Adventure, and it ended up becoming a bit of a Jeff Downes jazzy piano piece at the end that we extended. And good, and now, we're going back to the States, actually, to do a tour this summer, where the promoters have asked us to do Fragile.
And is it Close to the Edge as well? You doing?
And Close to the Edge. Yeah. I guess everyone loves Close to the Edge.
Yes.
I think now we could play it backwards in our sleep. But
do it! For one night only. Close to the Edge, backwards.
So we've got to work on the Fragile stuff. A little more complicated, actually, because some of those solo tracks on there just had a lot of overdubs and very studio manufactured pieces. So we're going to figure a way out to do those live. And of course we have the new album.
Look at this shameless plugging here, Mr. Squire. Straight in there.
Heaven and Earth out in the
I was going to say, actually, because obviously you're doing the two old albums and you're doing Heaven and Earth together for the US tour.
Yes.
Do you feel that it fits in with those two albums? Because, I mean, the new album's quite sublime, isn't it? It's quite almost pastoral. It's quite understated.
It'll be fine. I'm not quite sure until we get into rehearsals in a week or so what order we're going to even play it in yet.
Yeah.
We've all thrown various ideas into the hat, and we'll figure it out in rehearsals.
It's a lovely record. Well done.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
We'll come back to that in a second. Just going back to revisiting the older albums for a while. When you actually go back and play them, does it take you back to kind of when you made those albums or when you toured them first? Do you get little flashbacks?
It's hard to actually get flashbacks from that side because we've, let's face it, 1972, I think, is when Close to the Edge came out, or 73, around there. And over the years, of course, over those 40 years since then, we've, played the tracks from that album pretty consistently, Cyberunka True and You and I, and Close to the Edge itself, So I'm not really getting a flashback to one particular era. And the same with the Yes album. We've played a lot of those tracks in various sets over the years.
When you listen back to those, and you say you go back to some of the older songs, are you surprised sometimes by how well they've endured? Or sometimes are you a bit disappointed but they haven't endured, especially when you go back and look at the albums as a whole?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they've endured or not. Different people obviously will give you different answers to that. Obviously, real dyed-in-the-wool fans would say that it's all endured. But we've toured. We did the 3-album show in the US, in South America, in Japan and Australia, and everyone seems to like it all. So I guess it has endured.
They keep turning up, keep buying T-shirts. So, and also it would be quite easy for the band of your heritage, I suppose, to become a sort of nostalgia act by just doing the older stuff. But obviously, with Heaven and Earth, I mean, was it important for you to actually do a new album, to actually make a new record?
It's always been important to me that Yes moves on and it isn't a legend peddling band. And there are quite a few of those around. Not that there's anything wrong with it, really, but I've always wanted to have, something going new. And, before we made the Fly From Here album in 2011, we actually had quite a long break of new album material. And so that was good to get that done with Trevor Horn, of course, and this new one, just a couple of years later.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's talk about, obviously, working on the new album. It's a very lovely album. Roger Dean cover, classic, well done. We like that.
Yeah.
And you obviously worked with Roy Thomas Baker on this album.
Yeah.
Now, am I right in thinking that he actually worked on the sessions for Drama as well, but they never kind of came to light?
No, not for Drama. He actually, we went to Paris, I think it was 1979, to record an album with Roy, and that was with John and Rick and Steve and Alan and myself. And we started to do it, and then Alan White decided one night that he would go rollerblading or roller discoing with Richard Branson, of all people.
Blimey.
And I think they all tied one on and went roller discoing, and Alan broke his ankle. And so we had to go, the drummer's broken his ankle. We can't carry on. We'd done about 4 tracks at that point, but they only got to sort of a very half-finished stage, and we just knocked it on the head. And then following that, the band sort of fragmented, and Steve and myself and Alan went into the rehearsal room, and John and Rick went off to do solo projects, and so it sort of fell apart a little bit, and then that's when we met Trevor Horn and Jeff Downes, of course, with the Buggles, and unlikely of all marriages, they became members of Yes, and we made the Drama album, but that was nothing to do with Roy.
So those songs that you actually did with Roy in Paris, the Paris sessions, did they ever come to light in any form or shape?
I think you can find them on the net.
But they didn't become other songs that you released?
No, they never became anything, apart from where they were at when we left Paris.
I've asked you to bring a song a song of your choosing to play on the show. What would you like to hear?
Let's play Video Killed the Radio Star. Why not?
Okay, we're going to play some Buggles for you. Yeah. Mr. Squire, he just don't care. We'll be back after this. And that was the Buggles on the ProgShow for the first time, possibly the last, as chosen by Mr. Squire. You deviant. Can I ask why you chose that? Because you know the man, he needs the money?
No, because I was actually with Trevor Horn yesterday, doing a little bit of work in his studio, and he, we were just reminiscing about things, and about that period with Drama, and I just remembered really kind of how impressed I was that Jeff and him, pulled off which was possibly, the world's biggest ever single. So
yeah. Do you look back at the Drama album with fondness, or was it a difficult time for you?
No, it was a very pressured time, because when Trevor and Jeff came in and became members of the band, and we worked on Drama, we had a tour that was starting in the States about 5 or 6 weeks later, and we had to just get this whole album done and finished and delivered before we went on the tour. So it was a lot of pressure, but but the music turned out to be great, I thought.
Yeah, that's a good album. Yeah, I like it. And it's good you're still friends. Just going back to, obviously, Close to the Edge for the second. Obviously, quite recently, Stephen Wilson, who mixes all albums in the world now. That's what happens. If an album's over 12 months old, it goes to Stephen Wilson and he puts angel dust on it. I mean, were you pleased with the results that came back with the revamped Close to the Edge?
Strangely enough, well, not necessarily strangely, but when I was sent a copy of it, I'm assuming before it was released, although you can never always tell. I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that I actually liked it, because the original Close to the Edge recordings from the Abvision studio, it was a very dry studio, and Eddie offered used a lot of very dry recording and not a lot of echo and things. Sometimes, of course, we did, but to exaggerate a point, but I think Steve Wilson mellowed it out in his mix with use of echo and reverb and stuff, and I kind of liked it. And he changed the balances a little bit from the original. So I thought, well, at least it's different. It's not just the same thing put into a 5.1 configuration.
Yeah. No, it is. It did actually sound different, didn't it? It sounded kind of crisper and a little more kind of contemporary almost. It was nice. Yeah, it was good. Well done, Stephen Wilson.
Well done.
Well done, Steve Wilson. You can keep the glasses. And talking of producers, and we were, so you finally came back to Lloyd Thomas Baker for Heaven and Earth.
Yeah.
Where did that conversation start? How did you get Mr. Baker?
Just that I've kept in touch with him over the years. We had dinner a couple of times, and our present manager, Paul, actually worked for him back in the day, and so he had a relationship with him, and so it came up, that he was interested in working on a new Yes album, and and unlike other producers that we were looking at, Roy wasn't like, well, I've got to hear the material before, we weren't really in that state that we had a wealth of material that was ready to be listened to by various producers. So, we cobbled some stuff together eventually because we had to find out what we were doing. And but Roy was pretty committed to wanting to do it prior to that. So, I thought that was a good vibe that he was just was willing to buy sight unseen kind of thing.
And you say obviously cobbled something together, which is a technical term. Is it easy still to write Yes albums?
It's never easy writing anything.
No, even my name on a check.
Writing is music is a hard job. Takes a lot of work, and but of course it's fulfilling once you've done it. But it's definitely one of the more difficult aspects of being in a band that writes its own music and performs it. The performing part is a lot easier.
I was going to say, yeah. And also this time as well, I believe John Davison's actually worked on the album with you, didn't he? He actually did write some songs as well?
Well, no, John, that was the way the album went down in a way, because of John being the new contributor, if you like, to Yes, and a very good one. And he's a good musician. He has good lyrical ideas and good melody ideas, and I thought it would be a good idea if I wrote a couple of tracks with him and Steve Howe wrote a couple of tracks with him, and I'm sure he pulled on ideas that he probably had lying around for a while, and I'm very pleased with the way it's come out. It's very melodic, and as you say, it has a freshness about it.
Yeah, it does. It's more sublime than I thought. Actually, there's not so many songs you go, Chris Squire wrote that, because you are quite keen in showing off, and you're good at it too. But it's actually, it's quite a almost as a lightness of touch to the record.
Yeah, I think so.
And is there a theme to it at all? I mean, Heaven and Earth, or is that just a name you
believe it or not, Heaven and Earth is actually the title of Roger Dean's painting.
Oh.
And it's the first time we've ever done that, but Roger said, I've got this painting, it's called Heaven and Earth, how about using that as your album title? And we went, why not?
I'm glad it was a consensus of kinds. And so you're taking the US tour, now you're going to Fragile, Close to the Edge, Heaven and Earth, and I know you haven't played that long ago in the UK, but can we expect to see those shows? Because if I didn't ask, people would cut me.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, it's always great playing over here. And so, it won't be till next year that we put something together, probably be put together before next year, but we'll definitely look at doing some shows.
If you could bring Close to the Edge here, I'd be quite pleased.
Please.
Just put that in your mind. I'm just saying this all, just saying that. Just think about it, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a call. And Heaven and Earth is out July 21st, I believe?
Mid-July, okay. Around there. Yeah.
Go check it out there. Mr. Squire, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The wonderful The Game by Yes. When I mentioned to Chris Squire at the end of the interview that I was going to play that on the show, he went, oh good, That's one of mine. Chris Squire, thank you very much. What a lovely man he was. The album, Heaven and Earth, will be out mid-July on the Frontiers label. I do urge you to check it out.